welcome to the channel. I am Say Hi Paul, and this is a 9th edition Warhammer 40,000 Battle Report. On this unremembered human world, human civilization died out long, long ago, and the planet is suffering from a fungal infection, an infestation of orcs who are rampant upon this world. And they're starting to stir up something significant. This is where something big begins. And the Eldar of Craftworld Ulthwé are trying to turn that to their advantage. They are trying to influence the course of events and turn a war into a weapon and point it at the servants of the ruinous powers. So, this is a custom mission, the details of which I will go through in a little while. Few things to go through first. First off, for those of you who haven't seen any battle reports on my channel before, there are a few things to know. Firstly, I am a solo Warhammer operation at the moment, partly due to COVID restrictions, but also partly because it's kind of working for me. So this game will be played entirely between myself, amongst myselves. I'm sure someone can tell me how I'm meant to say that properly. I will be playing both sides of this game. Other things to be aware of. This is a narrative game, and I will be using house rules. Oh, gimbal, come on, don't turn that way. I've been having trouble with this gimbal. Okay, so for those of you who aren't interested in house rules, this is probably not going to be for you. But just briefly nipping through them, the ones that won't have any effect. I don't put any limits on plus or minuses to hit or wound or anything else to that matter. Coherency checks I ignore. Don't use command put reroll stratagem. I don't put any limits on the multiple uses of the same stratagem. And characters, biggest one, characters can charge with units. So if a character is with a unit and they're in coherency of each other and they're both going to declare a charge on the same enemy units, I roll one set of dice, and they either both succeed or both fail. If you want to know more about why I have house rules, there is a house rules video listed up on the channel which goes into some detail on that. It's also worth mentioning that my battle reports have a particular style. It's quite gimbal. It's quite rambling. It's quite verbose. This is basically join me for a game of 40k in my garage on Friday night. If high production values are your thing, again, this might not be for you. So, on to the scenario. So, in a previous episode on the channel, the orcs were aware that the Eldar of Craftworld Ulthwé had descended on their planet. They were trying to sneak in sneakily and go unnoticed. However, the visions of a nearby weird boy guided a band of orcs to their landing site. I say landing site. Their ingress to the place where they turned up from, however it was that they did do the turning up thing. And a battle ensued. The Eldar were victorious in that fight, and they've managed to slink off into the shadows, as it were, all across this planet. They have since been trying to pull at the exact strands of fate to work out the most effective way of steering these orcs towards the forces of chaos. And they have found it. And it's going to be right here on this battle grid. Battle grid? That's Winter's fault. Battlefield. I don't know what a battle grid even is. So they have found the precise point, the precise sequence of dominoes that needs to fall. A small change makes a slightly bigger change, slightly bigger change, slightly bigger change that will ultimately lead in the war that will ensue from this planet heading towards chaos rather than anyone else. So this is a 1,000-point game, circa 1,000 points, and the The deployment is going to be, this is a 6 foot table, 2 foot, 2 foot, 2 foot. This is the Orcs deployment zone. They are in this ruined city, pottering around. It's a small group of Orcs, this. And at the moment that they divined that this was the point to strike, there were not a huge number of Eldar forces nearby. They're spread out. They've been pulling at the strands of fate, killing one thing, rereading the strands of fate, killing another, moving a rock here, a squig there, basically making lots of subtle changes and rereading the future until they can find the point they need, the fulcrum on which the future is posed. Now they know there is another potential option, but it's costly. So they've been desperately trying to find a subtle way of doing it. And they have found it. On this battlefield, there are 2 Orcs. Well, there are going to be a lot of Orcs. There are 2 Orcs of significance. If both of those Orcs are slain today, right here, right now, the dominoes will fall in the way that the Eldari want them to. And chaos will be the victim of this war, not anyone else. So, the scenario is quite straightforward. The Orc army consists of a number of Bad Moons and a number of Death Skulls. Yes, it's Death Skulls for the first time in my Orc army. I got some blue and white ones painted. There are going to be 2 Warlords in the Orc armies. It's going to be treated as one army. If the Eldar slay both of the Orc Warlords, there's a big mech and there's a boss. If they both die, it is an Eldar victory. Any other result is a win for the Orcs, and the Eldar will be unsuccessful in achieving their goal. And it is as simple as that. So, battlefield. Oh, come on, Gimbal. Battlemat is by GameMat.eu. Gravel came from somewhere on Amazon. These trees were bought from the model shop in the Peace Hall in Halifax, for those of you who, know that place. These rocks are also GameMat.eu, and the terrain, the buildings, is laser cut printed terrain, pre-painted from the XLC. Really cool stuff. Really like it. I don't know what you call this stuff, but I got it from Amazon, as I did the aquarium gravel. I can't remember if I said that 10 seconds ago. Nah, it's late, it's Friday night, and gotta get me Warhammer on! Whoop! As it were. Right, now let's have a look at the armies. If there is anything I've forgotten, I will cover it as I get to it. So this is circa 1,000 points of Orcs. So what have we got? We have a patrol detachment of Death Skulls and a spearhead detachment of Orcs, the one with all of the heavies, which means I've spent 3 command points. So let's go through it all. So we have the war boss for the Death Skulls. Has a power claw and a... See, he's got a power claw holding the thingy, the combi rocket. The combi rocket. He has the warlord trait, opportunist, which means he's at +1 to wound vehicles, and he can target characters that are within 18 inches of him. Really nice. Rocket in the face. Yeah. This is a squad of shooter boys with a combi rocket on the knob and a boy with a rocket launcher. We have 10 looters, because they are traditional for Death Skulls. And we have a Death Dread. Now, the Death Dread has been upgraded with a custom job for another command point called Sparkly Bits, which effectively, where is he? There he is. Which effectively gives him +1 ballistic skill. So with those 2 custom Mega Blasters that he's got, he'll be hitting on 4s rather than 5s, which is nice. and a couple of Dreadnought close combat weapons. So the Death Skull Orc trait is Lucky Blue Gits, which gives them all a 6+ invulnerable save, and each unit can re-roll 1 hit, 1 wound, 1 damage per phase. So lots of luckiness with the re-rolling. The Bad Moons. Where is he? There he is. We have... Ooh, let me move the camera around. I've ditched the gimbal. I've decided there's more trouble than it's worth. We have a big mech with shock attack gun. He also has a Warlord trait. In the same way that the Death Skull has the Death Skull trait, this guy has the Bad Moon trait. He has the best teeth the best armour that teeth can buy, which gives him a 4+ invulnerable save. Which, you know, super nice. The Bad Moon trait is reroll 1s on shooting attacks. So, he doesn't have any lads with him. He's got his entourage of worker grots. So, at the sign of him approaching Eldar, he's got them to haul out a couple of the big guns that he's been knocking up in the background, in the backyard. And his trusty units of killer cans, the grots, what he has hardwired into these little can things that go around and crump and dacker and And in good old-fashioned mech style, he's done a few modifications. So this unit... Oh, how am I going to tell the units apart? That's a poser. Okay, right, yeah, that'll do. Okay, the unit with the blood on the drill has got... What's the first one? There's got Orkimatic Pistons, which is an extra 3 inches of movement, and they can re-roll advances. So there is quick. The other unit have got Dirty Gubbins. They're basically belching and bellowing smoke out of all their exhausts in a seriously nasty, icky way. And they are -1 to shoot at. Which is another 2 command points spent, which means I'm starting the game with 0 command points. So, that's the Orc army. Let's go and have a look at the Eldar. But before we do go on to look at the Eldar, I should probably mention that, of course, the Orcs have got absolutely no idea that the Eldar are just coming here to kill 2 specific Orcs. To kill that boss and that mech. So, I am going to play this battle just like I play every other Orc battle, where I will simply be asking myself the question, what would Gurk, or possibly Mork, do in this scenario? And then probably yelling, "Here we go!" and charging, or "Gisendaka!" etc. So, no, I won't be trying... The Orcs won't be trying to protect the war bosses. They will very much be putting themselves in harm's way. However, that will be quite harmful protecting the Eldar too. So, should be fun. So this is 1,000 points of Craftworld Ulthuii, and I have to say, it does not feel like a lot. It's a patrol detachment, and it is led by this Farseer. The Farseer is obviously the Warlord. He has a Singing Spear, which is like a Witchblade in close combat, but can also be thrown and is a high strength weapon at range. His Warlord trait is Mark of the Comparable Hunter, which means he can target characters with his shooting attacks. Which I totally didn't know when I picked the mission. I just looked in the book to say, right, what Warlord trait is he going to have? And it was the only one that made sense, which is cool. He's also got the Remnant of Glory, with which is Falchu's Wing, which gives him a 12-inch move, and gives him the fly keyword. Specifically didn't give the Orcs any special gubbins, any shiny gubbins, because they have 2 Warlord traits. So it kind of balances out. This time he's got 1 Warlord trait, 1 relic, as it were, and the other's got 2 Warlord traits. Psychic powers, well, he's looking for things to kill, so he has cast his runes, and they are going to be Doom, reroll failed wounds against a target unit, and the other one, Mind War. to, you know, try and burst the brain of any orc he cares to target. So the rest of the army, we have a Wave Serpent with 20 Shuriken Catapult and 2 Bright Lances. It's got a carrying capacity of 12, so it will probably have 11 models in it. It's also got crystal targeting matrix, which means when it advances, its weapons are treated as assault rather than heavy, which is super handy for moving around and still shooting. We've got 5 Wind Riders who each have Shuriken Catapults. So they move quite a long way and have 4 shots each at close range, which is pretty good. A staple for Ulthwé, 10 Black Guardians with a Bright Lance weapon platform. 3 War Walkers, each with a Scatter Laser and a Bright Lance. Now, normally they can outflank, but given the Eldar are approaching this way on a walled city, I'm going to say they can outflank, but they can't outflank beyond the wall. So I may or may not choose to do that with them. Then we have the ones that are a little bit more unusual to see in an Ulthwé army. The Aspect Warriors. So a little note on Aspect Warriors. Because Ulthwé are... Craftwood Ulthwé is very near the Eye of Terror, as was. They have a disproportionate number of seers, Eldar that follow the path of the seer, which effectively means that they have their Eldar spend less time following other paths, and they have fewer Aspect Warriors. So very often, my Ulthwé armies have no Aspect Warriors, or quite a small number, fewer than there are Guardians. And I think head per head, they're about equal in this force, but the units are small and they haven't got any Exarchs. So it represents the fact that these are a scarcer, more elite element of an Ulthwé army. But this is quite an elite mission here. So there are lots of Aspect Warriors planet side, but whereas Baal Tan, almost their entire army will consist of Aspect Warriors because they have lots and lots and lots of Aspect Shrines. Ulthwé have far fewer, so they are often joined by fewer Aspect Warriors. Any special info on these guys? These have basically got melter guns, so they're going to be wanting to take out Orc vehicles. These are basically Daka guns. They're 2-shot strength 4 that rend. These guys, the Warp Spiders, they can come in via Deep Strike. Basically, they're considered to be the bravest of Aspect Warriors because they will literally move through the warp, and their souls shine like a beacon that draw the Neverborn towards them. If they die in the warp, they're annihilated. They're absolutely dead. So they are considered to be incredibly brave. So yes, they are going to wander through the warp and then jump back into reality at the right moment and Deep Strike onto the battlefield. And that, in a nutshell, is what feels like a very, very, very small Eldar army. As it happens, I've tried to take different units to the ones I brought in the last game. So I've used a different set of War Walkers, a different Wave Serpent, a different gun. And I appear to have come out with lots and lots and lots of Lances, which kind of works against the very armour-heavy Orcs. But there are some pretty restricted lines of fire on this table. If you look down from here, these traffic calming measures on the entrance to the city, they block a lot of lines of sight unless you're on acute angles. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. So let's go to deployment. Okay, so we have finished deployment and it looks like this. And the board has actually presented quite a few challenges, because I tried to keep this as standard as I can. So both sides have had 24 inches from their respective end, and a couple of things have become apparent with the Orcs deployment. 24 inches isn't as far out as I imagined it was going to be. So the Orcs have sort of been held to this line here, which means they've got some quite tight passages they've got to get through. Matron. So it's a bit restricted there. Also, the Eldar with the size of some of their units, haven't had many places they can get completely clear. Excuse me. So the way this started was the bikes went down here, quite forward, quite far, go forward, be a bit nippy. At which point the looters have a commanding field of view up there. That's then made all the subsequent decisions quite interesting. The only place to then be safe from the looters was around this corner. So the orcs then started piling on over here, all of these boys and crunchy machines. Then some armour from the Eldar to try and take some of that down. We then had, because we had a bottleneck over here, we've then had a lot of the killer cans and guns fall up on that side of the table. So the orcs are kind of getting funneled. And as it stands, the Eldar, because the orcs had far fewer drops than the Eldar. So, I should say, the warp spiders are in Deep Strike, and the Farseer, Fire Dragons and Dire Avengers are all in the Wave Serpent. So the Wave Serpent then dropped here because there was armour coming down over here. The Death Dread, this big blue chap. So yeah, the Eldar, they want to mask their fire. This is a dilemma I have, right? Because there is a 2 command point stratagem. And bear in mind, the Eldar have not spent any of their command points yet. And the Orcs are dry on command points. There's a 2-point Eldar stratagem called Phantasm, which lets you redeploy any 3 Eldar units. Basically, you've created illusions and tricked your opponent. Now, in a straight-up brawl on brawl, the Eldar will become ducks. Dead ones. Now, when I put this down here, the idea was to be able to zip over and start to outflank, but there's just so much stuff, and so much of it's going to be hard to kill. So the dilemma I have is, do I just go for it and try and kill as much of the stuff as I can with the Eldar, and then hope I can pick off the 2 characters with what's left? Because as it's turned out, both the characters are on this side of the table. I didn't have that in mind originally, but that's how the deployments kind of ended up. Or do I spend the points on Phantasm and refuse that flank and deploy everything over here? Then the gamble I'm taking is, in turn sort of 2 and 3, can I take this lot out whilst putting some fire down there and deal with the Orc army piecemeal? See, this is where I wish I had the brain of a Farseer, because they'd know what the best thing to do was, and I've just got the brain of an I've got a very tired brain that's been at work all day. So at work, at desk, upstairs, 6 feet away from all my models and stuff, whilst they were calling me, going, "Come on, we're right here." I'm going, "No, need to earn the money." I digress. So the gamble there is, will there be enough time to take out the characters? Or actually, do we need to sacrifice these Eldari lives in order to achieve the objective? Is there going to be enough? Ooh, it is a dilemma, and I don't know that I know the answer to it. Maybe I should roll a dice to find out. Maybe? No, I need to think about it. I need to do this properly. If I bring all the stuff down over here, we'll make it sort of here-ish in turn 1. Then we might get countercharged by the cans. Then these cans become public enemy number 1. They have to die first. Kill these cans. Come around here. By this point, it'll take a turn or 2 for the Orcs to get this way. And just have to withstand the firepower from all that. In the meantime, I don't know how that's going to work. The looters have to die. So I need to leave something in place to kill the looters. Okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to Phantasm. Let's see how it works. I'm going to Phantasm and bring the units over here. So now it looks like this. So I've done some measuring up, and the first turn moves, I can get these guys over here. Not over the other side, but they can fly, so they can sit on here and shoot down. Not what I choose to do, because it will expose me to fire from all that nightmare over there. But effectively what would happen is they'd skim along the bottom and rise up and go over. And really they're just stopping in the over bit, so I have no problem with that. Does mean I'll be able to take some decent pot shots at these things, and then hopefully only take the return fire from the survivors and whatever's up there. That is, of course, presupposing I, as the Eldar, get first turn. All of that thinking was presupposing an Eldari turn 1. Of course, if the Orcs have turn 1, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. They're just going to come forward, aren't they? So, without any further ado, let's determine turn 1. Ooh, get some dice. Exciting, exciting. Right then. First roll of the Orcs, second roll of the Eldar. Orcs, oh dear. I say oh dear for the Eldar. Good for the Orcs. 2. Okay. Orc turn 1. That was a waste of time, wasn't it? So after the Orcs movement phase, it looks a bit like this. The Death Dread has charged forward, advancing. Wants to get to grips with these pointy ears as quick as possible. The Orcs stumbled on a lot of rocks. Quite excited. Some of them must have dropped their guns and stopped to pick him up. They advanced an entire inch, bottlenecking the killer cans behind them, who were really keen to get through, but not quite so stupid enough as to tap the war boss on the shoulder and give him a headache. The cans with the Orkimatic pistons kicked them into gear and started to run forward. Rerolled the advance roll and got a lower number. So that's Orky for you. They must have been leaking a bit of stuff. The Grots have dragged the guns a little bit further forward because they wanted to kill something. And that's it for the movement phase. So the first thing that they're going to do in the shooting phase is the Death Dread is going to fire his 2 guns at the Warwalkers. Now they would be hitting on 4s because he's got the sparkly gubbins, but he advanced, so they're hitting on 5s. That's 1 hit, and that's Daka Daka Daka. That's 1 hit. Strength 8, toughness 6. No wound. Right, okay, that's Orky for you. Right, looters. How many shots each for the looters? 1. Oh, that is Orky for you. Oh, they're shooting at the Warwalkers, by the way. Right, I don't need a bucket load of dice, I just need 10. And with my paltry 10 dice, I've scored 2 hits. Wounding on 3, strength 7, toughness 6. 1 wound at -1, saving on a 5 up. It saves! The looters, they do nothing! Right, okay. Let me show you blue ones how it's done. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Let's re-roll that 1 wound wall for Lucky Blue Gits. Does wound. Another save of 5+. Alright, but seeing as I've remembered it, we'll re-roll the failed wound roll for the... Was it a failed wound roll? I think it was a failed wound roll for the Death Dread. That now wounds. Yes, it was. I rolled a 1, so that now wounds. Minus a lot, but it's got a 5 up invulnerable save, which it doesn't make, and I believe this is D6 damage. I'll check in a second. For the big 6, I've got a check! So it is indeed 6 damage, but of course I've just remembered the Eldar of Cropperwood, all 3, have a 6-up ignore damage, which really irks me, you know. I got a slight tangent, soapbox moment. It kind of assumes that every Ulthwé Craftworlder has some kind of psychic power. It can see things coming, or it can weave psychic protections. No, they still follow the path of the seer independently. That's why they have disproportionately more seers than anything else. They aren't all seers. That really annoys me, especially when in Phoenix Awakening there are much better ideas. There's one where Guardians reroll 1s. Perfect, brilliant, standing Guardian army, the Ulth have. That'd be lovely. And there's one where Psykers get to either a reroll or a +1. Perfect. Psyker Guardian heavy army. That would be beautiful, but no, they get a 6-up shrug, which I hate. Anyway, shrugging the damage on the 6-up. Need to make 1 of these or it's a Warwalker down. one of them. This War Walker is on 1 wound remaining. Right, now it's the big mech's turn. He's going to show these lucky blue gits how it's done. Opening fire with the shock attack gun for D6 shots. 2 shots. Hitting on 5s, rerolling 1s because of bad moons. 1 hit. Strength is 2d6, which is 8. So it's wounding on a 3. That's a wound minus 5. So we're down to the 5 up invulnerable save, which is failed. Could, I suppose, be shrugged. So d6 damage for 1. Is he going to shrug it on a 6? He shrugs it on a 6. He's got snotlings crumbling all over him, but he's stomping on them, kicking them. He saw them coming and he stepped on it. Right, now the rocket and the combi rocket on the knob on the unit of shooter boys can see that walker. So they advanced, so they're hitting on 6s. No. Oh, lucky blue gets, reroll 1. No. Okay, right, let's see if those killer cans can see anything. And all that one killer can could see and was in range was a Guardian squad. Hit it in the face with a missile, but it was a dud, so it did nothing other than knock the wind out of him. No one is in charge range, so that is the end of Orcs turn 1. I think the Eldari got off pretty lightly there. So at the end of the Eldar movement phase, they have had to adapt to changing circumstances. The War Walkers have moved out and keeping the long-range targets in range of their scatter lasers to shoot up at that heavy fire and to be able to get line of sight with the bright lances on the nearest visible threat that shot them good earlier. Yes, it did indeed. The Guardians have come around here to try and take a pot shot at the one of those killer cans, and they may, who knows how what difference that'll make. The Wave Serpent has moved up here and has got good lines of fire on killer cans, Death Dreads, and whatever they're called. Whatever they're called. The bikes, in their attempt to do the whoop-be-up, this is how they finished. One of them's made it over, 3 of them are over the top, and the other one's about to rise over the crescendo. So that's happening there. And that's all the movement. There's no psychic phase, because the Psyker is in the Wave Serpent. Yep, that's right. So we're going to be straight into the shooting phase. So first things first, these War Walkers are going to split their fire as described earlier. So 3 lances into the Death Dread, hitting on 3s. That's 3 hits. Strength is less than 8. So that's 2 wounds. Minus 3. I'm going to have to check this in a minute. I'm pretty sure it's minus 3. Saving on 6s. No, I now have to check. I was wrong. It is minus 4. So they both punch straight through. D6 damage each. 7 damage. I believe they have 8 wounds. It has 1 wound left. Made all the difference not managing to kill that one last turn from the Orcs. Okay, 4 shots per scatter laser up at the looters. 12 shots. Hitting on 4s. That's a lot of hitting on 3s. That's a lot of not hits, which some people would describe as misses, but I'm not that pessimistic. Okay, strength 6, toughness 4, wounding on 3s. So that's 6 wounds. They are in cover, so they're saving on 5s. That's 2 saves, 4 dead. The Guardians on jet bikes fired in at this nearest gun with an abysmal set of firing. Managed to take 2 wounds off it. Then used the fire and phase stratagem to move an extra 7 inches to complete their hop over the wall. I think they were hoping to try and get further away from those cans, but who knows which way those cans will go. Right, speaking of cans. Okay, we now have a Bright Lance into a can. Hits on a 3. Hits. Strength 8. Successfully wounding on a 4. It's punched straight through the armour because it's minus 4 and they have a 3-up save. So it'll do d6 damage. For 2, leaving it on some left. The Guardians will Will they then fire and fade? Ooh. No, they won't. So now the dilemma is where to fire the Wave Serpent at. Now, the Shuriken Catapult can only fire at the cans or the mech guns. So it's going to fire at the mech gun because it's a softer target. It can't kill a mech gun with amazing dice. It can't kill a can. It could, with amazing dice, kill a thingy. Now, the bigger question is, with the two las cannons, do I want to try and take out one or more cans or the Death Dread? Now, the Death Dread is further away from any chargeable targets. There's absolutely no guarantee it will make it next turn. In fact, I don't actually think it's within charge range. So we're shooting at the cans. We are shooting at the cans. No damage done with the Shuriken Catapults on the mech gun. One successful wound on the killer can, which will do d6 damage. For 3. Does it explode? It does if killer cans explode. The explosion doing 1 mortal wound to every unit within 3 inches, putting a wound on a can. And that is the end of the Eldar shooting. That feels almost as ineffectual as the Orc shooting was last term. It's almost like they're playing a game of can't hit me. Okay, so the last thing in this turn is the morale phase. So the cans can't fail, because they only lost 1. The looters can, however. So they have a leadership of 6, and they lost 4. So a 1 or a 2, and they're good. 3, they fail. So 1 runs. They're not below half strength. There are 5 remaining who would run away on 1s. 2 more run away, so 3 in total. That's a lot of looters running off. Although, oh, hang on. Let me check the wording on Mob Raw. I wonder if I can use their leadership. I wonder what the range is. Yeah, so they didn't run away because they are vertically, it doesn't quite look like it from this camera angle, but they are vertically within 6 inches of that mob down there. And they are the same clan, so they're actually good. They're feeling pretty good that the boys are going to go up and smash these, not beakies, put ears, yeah. Right, it's time for the Orcs. So one thing that is quite interesting when you're playing games with yourself is it's when you're playing one army, you don't automatically see what the other army's going to do. So I just played my Eldar turn and thought, right, yeah, this is working well. And then put the Orcs head on and gone, right then, what are we doing? And I don't think it's going to go so well for the pointy ears. I think they're going to be hoisted by their own petard here. So this Death Dread is going, right, I'm having him with his 1 wound. And he's belching oil and smoke and fizzing energy, but he's having them. But now the Eldar are getting strung out because they've done their forward push on the left. The Orkimatic pistons of the killer cans, which the Eldar guy forgot about, have kicked in, and they are well on the way towards those bikes to mess them up. Those are, of course, guns that will be able to shoot up at the Wave Serpent. These boys. Have I got all of them? Did I leave any behind? No, got them all. These boys are now in range of that Wave Serpent with their rockets. The Big Mech has shouted down to the cans and gone, he's trying to come round us. Go get him. So these cans are coming round here. So let's see what happens when everything opens fire. Right, let's do the easy ones, he says, grabbing a couple of dice. This Dread is only going to shoot at those Warwalkers. And because of his sparkly gubbins, he's hitting on 4s. He hits twice. Wounding on 3s. He fails to wound once, but, lucky blue git, he still fails to wound. Minus a lot, but 5 up invulnerable save on the power field that covers the front of the pilot. Passes again. It's not his day. Right. Next, I think the Smasher Gun and the Bubble Chucker are going to try and give the Wave Serpent a bad day. Okay, first of all, the amazing Bubble Chucker, whose stats are all random. So, his number of shots is 1. Its strength is 1. Its AP is -2. And its damage is 5. Okay, it's one shot hitting on 4s. Missed. That's the bubble chucker for you. Okay, the smasher gun is heavy D3 for 3 shots. Hitting on 4s because they're grots. 1 hit. The way the smasher gun works is you roll 2d6, and if you equal or beat the toughness, they take the attack succeeds. So the toughness of the wave serpent is 7. That does not succeed that. So the bubble chucker has popped tiny little warp bubbles that have done nothing, and the smasher cannon has attempted to grab hold of it with a tractor beam and bash it and bash it and bash it on the floor, which has also failed. Right, what else? I think it's fair to say that even though the player in me wants the cans to shoot up at the wave serpent, the grots in the cans want to shoot at these bikes. Right, the Grotzuka is 2d3 damage, 2d3 shots for 3. Hit on 4s. That's a Dakar. 1 hit. Strength 6. Successfully wounds, no minus. 3 or 4 up save. A 1 certainly isn't a save, so that is 1 wound. Okay, now the rocket. Hits. That was obviously a 4. Hits on a 4. Damaging on a 3. No. Oh, no. No, their toughness 4, so a 2 is a successful wound. -3, I believe. I now need to check. It let me be 3 damage. It would kill the one that was wounded. I do need to check what the armor save of the bike is. 1 moment. The save is 4+. The wounded bike, that has 1 wound left, takes 3 hang on. Takes 3 damage, but it shrugs on 6s. So it's taken 4 damage in total. Shrugs 2 of them, and has how many wounds? 2 wounds. So he does die. Right then, what have we got over here? Over here, I think we have a killer can shooting its rocket up at the thing that's in front of the camera. Hits on a 4. Doesn't hit. Right, what else have we got? Okay, we have the Lucky Blue Gits over there firing their rockets up here. So we've got 2... I don't think the shooters are in range. I can't remember the range of the shooter. I'll check that in a minute. I don't think they are. We have a rocket and a combi rocket, and then the war boss has his own rocket, which I'll fire separately. So a rocket and a combi rocket, hitting on 5s. Lucky Blue Gits, re-rolling 1, so that's 2 misses. Okay, the boss hits on a 5. Ooh, Daka. Misses. So strength 8, wounding on... strength 8 to 7, wounding on a 3. Wounds. That's a save of 3+. Rockets a -2. Saves on a 5. Saves. Okay. It's swingy. So now all that remains, the looters and the shock attack gun, which I think are also going to unload into the wave serpent. We'll do the shock attack gun first. Okay, heavy D6 shots for 3. Hitting on 5s with a Dakar. Not going to re-roll any of those yet. Going to wait for the wounds. Strength is 5. Okay, so wounding on 5s. Wounding on 5s, 2 wounds. Do I want to do a re-roll now? I will do a re-roll now. What I'm contemplating is, would I rather re-roll the damage later? Because statistically that's better. Depends if it gets through though. So, no, I'm going to do the damage. So it's -5, the shock attack gun, so it goes through, which is nice. So D6 damage, which I will re-roll because I'm a Lucky Blue Git. For 6, that's the ticket. The Serpent Shield on the Wave Serpent then drops that to 5, which we shrug on 6s. 1 successful shrug, so it takes 4 damage, leaving it on 9 remaining. Right, how many shots do the remaining looters get at it? 2 each, 12 shots. So as we're in turn 2, the Orcs are now back up to 2 command points. So we're going to spend 2 command points on more Dakar. So the shots will explode on 5s and 6s. Okay, come on you Lucky Blue Gits. That's pretty lucky. So hang on, how many hits is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which generate more shots, which hit on 5s and 6s. Okay, so that's 8 hits. Strength 7, toughness 7. Wounding on 4s. That is 4 wounds. Now, saves at -1, so they have a save of 4+. Saves 2. Serpent Shield drops the damage of each of those down from 2 to 1, which it then shrugs on 6s. No, so 2 more damage from that. So it's now on 7 points. And have I forgotten to shoot anyone? No, I don't think I have. I think it is now the Killer Cans charging at the bikes. Now, do I want to spec... Silly ball. That should be... That should say 3, shouldn't it? No, it should say 4 because it lost 1 wound. Not, it's only got 1 wound left. It's got 4. I was just about to say, oh, I'll Overwatch. It's only got 1 wound left. But of course it doesn't. 2d6 charge. 8 inches. They are in. Dink. Dink. Right, let's look up some stats. Right, you'll have to excuse me on this. I am constantly referring to the book, which is over here. Okay, so the first can with the, what's it called? The Driller. The Driller has 3 attacks. Hitting on 5 because it's a grot. 1 hit. Now the Driller is strength +1, so strength 6. So it's wounding on a 3. That's a wound. Oh, that's an extra thing as well, the Driller. It's at -4. Each time you roll a modified wound roll of 6, do a mortal wound in addition. So that's a mortal wound, -4 and 2 damage. So that first one takes 3 damage, has to shrug 3 damage on 6s. Which he shrugs 1 of, but 1 is destroyed. Okay, so the second one with the Can Claw. Again, 3 attacks, again hitting on 5s. No hits. Okay, so they scragged 1 and got it good. Right, well, the bikes will fight back. Actually, yeah, he counts there. He's, well, nudge him around. They get a princely attack back each that hits on 3s. So that's 2 hits. With their strength of just a normal space elf, wounds on 6s. They don't wound. Okay, so can the Wind Riders fail morale? Morale is 7, they lost 2. Yes, 6 will fail. That's not a fail. Okay, so at the end of Orc's turn 2, both the characters are still alive. This Wave Serpent's still flying. Those are all still alive. They've only killed 2 elves. And to be fair, they might not even be dead. They're just casualties. They probably just crippled the bikes. Okay, right, let's see what Eldar can do in turn 2. Okay, we're mid-movement phase, and I have a lot of dilemmas that I want to share with you, because I don't know what to do. It feels like, from an Eldar point of view, there's certain things I could try, and if they come off, victory. If they don't, annihilation. So the easy thing was the Wind Riders falling back and getting up there. So they're going to start to sort of circle round. And if we can get rid of those looters, then that big mech is an easy shot. I can equally start to think about dropping the Warp Spiders in here. But because there are nearby Orc units, I can't get them down within 9 inches unless I'm over there, in which case you'll get additional cover. So that part of the trap doesn't feel ready yet. That is what I do with the Wave Serpent, because it's not just keeping the Wave Serpent safe, it's making real use out of the units that are inside, because I'm not doing that at the moment. One option is I can move it over here and hope to withstand a turn of being kicked and clawed at by the cans, which I may or may not withstand. But then in theory, I'm in a good place with a number of infantry next turn. Because if I go down there, they can't bring those orcs to bear on it or that dreadnought. I've only really got these ones. Now these are nippy, they're quick. They might be able to get back and do a charge. It might not. The Orc Artillery can be devastating, or it can be terrible. If I'm going to take that chance, I could potentially get the War Walkers into position to put fire down into them to cover my move across. Other options, I could get the Farseer out. The Farseer could fly somewhere. Could fly with far too much, could fly down here and try and mind war the war boss to death, but then get clobbered to death by orcs. Those orcs would then have to not be there. And in which case, it's then what I do with the War Walkers. Because I can, in theory, if I can get rid of the that Death Dread, then I can put all the what's it called? I can put all the all the scatter lasers into those orcs and thin them out a little bit, so there's less coming back. I could maybe do that by advancing the Guardians up here and shurikening the shiny finish off the Death Dread. Or equally, these guys could take out the looters from up there in order to facilitate the Wind Riders rush round. I could also advance the Wave Serpent and try and get it over there to keep it out of harm's way. But again, whilst the Orc units on the ground won't really be able to charge me, will I be able to bring all the gun to full effect? I don't know. I really don't know. I am really stuck with what the best thing to do is. So that is my dilemma. I'm going to continue pondering it. So I decided to go aggressive. This is a seismic moment for the craft world. They're trying to achieve something significant, so they have to throw caution to the wind. So these Guardians used Maximus Agility for a command point to advance their full amount. Asuryani, of course, can advance and fire assault weapons without a penalty, so hopefully they will be able to plink the last wound off that Death Dread. That's the plan. Then the Lances should be able to come down here and disable at least one of the guns, with the scatter lasers going up to take out the looters. And we'll just live with what the reprisal is going to be from these boys. The Wave Serpent got a 3-inch advance and has managed to tuck itself down there, so it's reasonably safe from these killer cans after some careful measuring. The Farseer left the vehicle and has flown over there. Now, the plan was to doom the cans and do a bit of smiting and be on the table next turn so I could position myself for a Mind War. But I just checked Mind War. You don't need line of sight for it. In order to target an enemy character, you do not need line of sight for Mind War. And that's pretty super duper as far as I'm concerned. So straight into the Psychic Phase. So it's a bit of a gamble, this. It could all fall apart and the Eldar get massively crumped by getting very, very, very close to all these orcs and all these orc vehicles. But, you know. Okay, Mind War goes off on a 7. That is a pass. There is nothing to be able to deny it. I now need to look up the leadership of the Warlord, the boss, and the Farseer. Should have done that first, really. So I just about got them both in shot there. So the way this works is you roll a d6 for the target, which is the blue war boss down here, and add his leadership. So let's do that first. His leadership is 8. Plus 1 is 9. You then roll the leadership of the casting Psyker. So you roll a d6 and add the leadership. Now the leadership of the Psyker is 9, and he will suffer a number of mortal wounds equal to the difference. So that one, that's kind of stingy. Don't worry, mate. It's 2 mortal wounds. The Farseer's only rolled a 2. So the war boss takes 2 wounds. Then I think we will doom the killer cans on a 7, so that anyone shooting at them any damage is re-rolled. Failed damage. That fails, but I'm going to use my runes to re-roll both those dice, and it casts on a 9. I think I will also spend a command point on Peerless Mastery to use another psychic power on that Farseer and attempt a smite. I saw that on a 7, that goes off doing D3 damage for 3. to the nearest unit, which might be the cans. It might actually be the guns. I'll measure up and check. Right, the nearest unit by about half an inch with the killer cans. So one of those is down to 2 wounds. So, shooting phase. I think everything well, not everything, but the subsequent shot choices depend on these Guardians killing that Death Dread. So, that's 20 shots, try to plink a wound off it. So, after all the dice are rolled, needs to take 4 saves on a 3+, and 1 save of a 6+, because the Shuriken Rend. We'll do that one first. 6+? No. And also, oh, they're all fine. It was only just got. Does it explode? It does not. So the Death Dread goes down. Right, so now it's the Warwalker's turn to shoot. In theory, I can kill both of these with 3 lances. Shooting 1 at that, 2 on that. Is that greedy? Should I just put all 3 to this one? Because it's the one I want dead and it's already injured. But I could maybe kill it with 1. No, okay, tell you what. 2 into that, let's kill that, and 1 into that. Maybe I'll get lucky on that. Because I think they have... Do they have 5 wounds or 6 wounds? I thought they had 6 wounds. And every time, the information just seems to seep out my brain at the key moment. They do have 6 wounds, so it's not really going to kill that one, is it? But it might hurt it. Okay, 2 at the Smasher Gun. Hitting on 3s. 1 hits. Wounding on 3s. 1 wound. Minus 4d6 damage. So it goes straight through the armour for 6 damage. That one dies. Then 1 on the Bubble Chucker. Hits on a 3. Wounds on a 3. Fails to wound. Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that. So that's 1 down. And the other 12 shots into the looters. From the scatter lasers, of course. An abysmal set of wounding with the scatter lasers. 2 saves to take on 5+ because they're in cover. 2 die. 2 dead looters. Right, so far this is mostly going according to plan. The Farseer is going to throw his Singing Spear down at the Killer Cans, hitting on a 2, wounding on a 2 because they always do. No AP, just saves on a normal 3-up, which it passes. Clang, and the spear flies back. It's what always happens. It's tradition. Right, now Zuvev Serpent firing at the cans. We're going to go for the Shuriken Catapults first, on the off chance we can take the 2 wounds off that last one. So, hitting on 3s. 2 misses. I'm not degraded at all, because I'm just in my bracket, in my top bracket. Wounding on 5s with a reroll. Right, okay, so that's 1 at 3+, and this one's -3, so that's going to save on a 6+. So the 3+ save... Saves. It's not going to die. And this one saves on a 6. Okay, so it's 1 wound left. Let's fire the 2 Bright Lancers at it and finish it off. 1 hit, 1 miss. Wounding on a 3 with a reroll. Punches straight through the armour. D6 damage for 4. Does it explode? It does not. Okay, so that has at least reduced the amount of fire coming back from an Eldar perspective. And unsurprisingly against the Orcs, there are no charges. Charging against the Orcs. Right, hang on, let me get rid of this corpse that I've got in my hand. So the question now for the Eldar is, can they withstand this retaliation? If they can, they've got a decent chance. If they can't... Right, okay, so... What does it look like? So from an Orc point of view... Right, hang on, get back in the Orc brain. Right, and go over here to where the Orc characters are. Right, I think this war boss down here is going, oh, yous lot, kill that pointy ear up there. Me head hurts. And then probably the mech goes, yeah, scrag it. So these are going to move over here and shoot up at the Farseer and then charge the Wave Serpent. Those other killer cans are going to... Who are they nearest? I'll see how far they can get. Yeah, see how far they can get. Then again, they are being told to scrag everything back here, so they'll probably go for the Wave Serpent. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Then these. What is the temptingest target? Probably to advance forward here, shoot the rockets. Probably just to go forward and shoot the rockets at them and shoot the shooters at those and then maybe charge. Yeah, sounds pretty good. Right, let's orc it up. Right, just to let you know, I did remember the morale on the looters they passed, which was good. Okay, so it's kind of it's all got a bit orky. So they've run forward to do some clobbering and then some charging, sort of a here we go, wah kind of thing. So there's rockets going to be fired left, right, and centre. The big mecha's going, oh, yous, like, get out of my way! I can't see that big thing. I want to shoot it. He doesn't know he's trying to be assassinated. Someone's trying to assassinate him, so he's climbed up there so he can get line of fire on the wave serpent. And these have, in sort of threat of being hurled off the edge by the big mech, they've run forward to the edge. So there's been a lot of moving over here. The bubble chucker didn't move, and he was going to shoot at the war walkers, but his line of sight's kind of been blocked, so that might not do anything now. Oh, silly killer cans. Get out of my way! Get out of the way! We wants to fire!
Good luck shooting through this.
Anywho, so there is going to be much firing up here at the Farseer to try and kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. Which is what... Oh, can the bubble chucker see the Farseer? I think maybe the bubble chucker can see the Farseer. I think the Farseer is going to get bubble chucked. I'll check that from the other side. In fact, let's go and check that now. Let's do that now. Can the bubble chucker see the Farseer? Oh, I'm going to go with yes. Okay, so the bubble chucker. Shoot at the Farseer. It was a risk going up there. It was a gamble. How many shots? 6 shots. Sucks to be you, mate. At strength, 6. So it's going to wound on 2s. At AP, the AP's irrelevant. AP 6. For how much damage? 5 damage. Never to be repeated. Oh my word. Okay. So, I'm going to leave that there for prosperity and sort of roll here. I'm going to tuck them back a little bit. Oh my word. That is one big bubble. It's building up and it's going to burp all over that Farseer. Okay, hitting on 4s. 6s will Dakka. Okay. Right, it's only one hit, but it does Dakka and gets a second hit. Strength 6. Toughness 3. Wounding on 2s. Did I roll any 1s to hit? Oh no, it doesn't matter. These are grots anyway. Yeah, I've just realised the clan culture for the entire Bad Moon army is entirely pointless apart from on the dude. Okay, right. So does his rune armor save him on a 4+? It does. The warp energy writhes up against the runes. Looks like it's gonna break through and then pop. Okay, you're lucky, mate. Dead lucky. Right, okay, so all these are gonna, well actually no, maybe these first. Yes, these first will shoot up at the Farseer. So a rocket hits, wounds on a 2, wounds, saves on a 4 up, invulnerable, does not save. That's 3 wounds from that. Shrugs on 6s, no shrugging. That's 3 wounds taken. 2 remaining, I think. Okay, Grotzuka, 2d3 shots. For 5 shots. Hit on 4s with Dakka. Oh, there's Dakka. 3 hits. Because his strength 6. It's going to wound him on 2s again. 3 wounds. Saving on 4s. 1 gets through. Does he shrug it? Yes, he does. Still got 2 wounds left. Okay, Ritz, repeat. Oh, I seem to have taken the burners off both units. That's a shame. We could have been lit up on fire and barbecued. Alright, 1 rocket. Hits. Wounds on a 2. Wounds. Saves on a 4. Saves. Safe. Safe. Sorry, I just hit the camera and it's done something weird. Let me stop and restart. There were horrible lines over the screen then. Right, 1 remaining Grotzuka, 2 wounds to get through. 2d3 shots for 6 shots. Hitting on 4s with Dackers. 2 hits, 2 Dackers. 3 hits. Wounding on 2, strength 6, toughness 3. 3 saves, 4 up. Fails 1. Does he shrug it? He does not shrug it. That is, I believe, 1 single wound remaining. Assuming they have 5 wounds, I'd probably better check that. The Farseer on 1 nail-biting wound remaining. Maybe that plan was not such a good one. Right. Now, Mr. Confident on his perch up here, trying to give that Wave Serpent a bad day. Shock attack gun. Heavy D6 for 3 shots. He's moved, so he's hitting on 6s. 1 hit with a Dacker, which doesn't Dacker. Strength is 8. Wounding on a 3. Wounds minus ton, minus 5. So it goes straight through for D6 damage. For 5 damage, which goes down to 4 because of the Serpent Shield, which it will then shrug on 6s. It doesn't shrug any, so it goes down from, can't quite see it, from a mighty 7 wounds to a titchy 3. Okay. The looters are going into the War Walkers. In many ways, you'd think they were, what are they called? You'd think they were bad moons because they're just trying to show off. But sadly, not enough command points to do anything fun with these guys. But, you know, all the custom jobs, which I realised I forgot last turn. I forgot the billowing smoke when I was shooting at them. Hopefully it didn't make much of a difference. Okay, how many shots for the looters? 1 each. They moved, so hit on 6s. Nothing! Okay. Right then. What have we got over here? The boys first. A combi rocket and a rocket into the War Walkers, and then all the shooters, which are 9 shooters into these, whatever they are. Everything's sitting on 6s. Right, the rockets both missed, but 4 wounds with shooters on the Guardians, saving on 5 up. 2 saves, 2 fails, shrugging on 6s, 2 dead Guardians. Okay, now the War Boss is going to fire his rocket at the War Walkers, which he advanced, so it misses, but he's a lucky blue git, so we can re-roll. Still misses. Okay, that's all the shooting. It must be time for charging. Okay, first unit of cans into the Wave Serpent. The Wave Serpent's going to Overwatch. So, because it's only got, there's one with, oh no there isn't, but Bright Lance is hitting on 6s. No. And the other Overwatch, no, nothing doing. It was worth a punt. Alright, do they get in? They totally do. Does this unit get in? I don't know if they get Here We Go. That's not enough. If they do get Here We Go, it's still not enough. Okay, so these cans get in. Try to pull the last few wounds off that. And then over here, I reckon, what are they going to want to charge? They're probably going to want to charge the little ones. Yeah, the boss probably says, leave them for me. Says, right, charge the little ones. Because if they're within 6 inches of a war boss, they can charge having advanced. Don't know what they need, but is that enough? They've got an 8. If I'll re-roll, and if 8 was enough, they're in. Oh, hang on. No. That's not the way to do it. 1 minute. Okay, 7 was enough to get him in, so I decided to re-roll the 2. Got a 1. So they only moved 7. So they get to pile in a minute. Now, the War Boss needs a 9-inch charge to get into those War Walkers. So he's going for it. And they're overwatching too. So they've spent a command point. Let's see if he gets in. 9 with a re-roll. We'll have the 6. We'll re-roll the 2. Need a 3 or more. Wow, that is totally in. If he lives through it. Okay, so the War Boss going first. There's not going to be any interrupting. He has 4 attacks. Hitting on 3s because the claw is unwieldy. He's a lucky blue git, so he's going to re-roll one of those. Okay, 2 hits. Strength 12, wounding on 2s. That's lucky. Lucky. The power field save for the Warwalkers used to be in against shooting only, but it's just it's a flat invulnerable save now. So it saves a 5+. Both failed. And it does an amount of damage each. D3. I don't know if that's changed with the latest FAQ. 1 wound. Does it shrug it on a 6? No, it doesn't. So the first one dies. Does it explode? It does not explode. The second one takes another D3 for 3. Does it shrug him? It does not. So another one goes. So that one dies and goes down to 3 wounds, and he piles in. Then this unit's going to activate and pile in 3 inches. They all manage to make it in apart from the knob, and they have 10 saves to take on 5+. So that's 3 passes, 7 are dead. There's 8 in the unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. 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 Oops, oops, oops. In many ways, I should be doing, and then they're going to pile in and clobber him. I should be doing this, not on camera. Okay. Whew. Okay, so now the killer cans attack the Wave Serpent. The one with the can claw has 3 attacks. Hits on 5s, 2 hits. Uh-oh. And the strength of the can claw is +3, so it's 8. Wounding on 3s. 1 wound. -3, so it saves on a 6. The Serpent Shield doing nothing in close combat. That fails the save, and it does a flat 3 damage, which it may or may not shrug. Shrugs one of them. It is on 1 wound left. Now oh no, it's not a drill, that one. What's that one got? That's a buzzsaw. A buzzsaw. Okay, 3 attacks with a buzzsaw. Oh, make an additional attack with that weapon. Nice. Hitting on 5s. No. It's got a wound left. It's got a wound left. No explodey. Okay, it survived. Right, now it's time for things to fight back. The Guardian's going to fight back. Hits. Wounds. Save of a 6. Yeah, it's alright, that was lucky. And he then runs away in the morale phase, which I'm going to do now, before I forget. Then the Warwalkers. Oh, and I flipped the page over. I'm pretty sure they've only got 1 attack each. They've got 2 attacks each. That's how sure I was. Hitting on 3s. Wounding on... strength 5, so they're wounding on 4 successfully. Saving on 4 up. 1 save, 1 fail. So he's down to 2 wounds. 2 wounds. Okay. Okay, and the Wave Serpent probably has 1 attack hitting on a 6, which fails to hit. And as I said, that guy runs off. So at the end of Orc's turn 3... that Orc's turn 3? Yeah, that was Orc's turn 3. That must mean everyone's had 3 turns. No, the Orcs went before the Eldar. That's why I'm getting confused. Right, Eldar turn 3. So at the end of the Eldar movement phase, the field looks like this, and the net is tightening, the noose closing around these 2 fated Orcs. So over here, the Warwalkers have fallen back. They're not going to be shooting, but the Warp Spiders have torn a rent in reality, and are going to fill him full of monofilament wire, which might kill him, might not. We shall see. The Windriders have concluded their loop that was only mildly interrupted by 2 of them being pulled out the sky. And they're coming up on this big mech who has foolishly put himself in harm's way. The Farseer, on his single wound, has flown over. to join in the attack. The Wave Serpent, the Fire Dragons have disembarked from the Wave Serpent. The Dire Avengers have stayed just in case they might be needed later. That single wound remaining. So the Fire Dragon's plan is to kill those cans and then fire and fade back behind the building to avoid any return fire. The single wound remaining on the Wave Serpent made a big difference. The single wound remaining on the Farseer made a big difference. Or at least has done to this point. We shall see how much further it goes. So, the Psychic phase. The Farseer is going to attempt Mind War on the Big Mech. Casts on a 7. That is a fail. We'll reroll both the dice using my runes. That is just a pass. The Big Mech has a leadership of 7. 7 plus d6 is 12. Farseer's leadership is 9. 9 plus d6 is 14. The Big Mech takes 2 wounds. Now we're going to doom him on 7 or less. He's doomed. He's got some wounds left. 3, I think. No, he's only got 2 wounds remaining. 2 wounds remaining as we go into the shooting phase. Okay, so let's build up to a bit of a finale. So, the Fire Dragons are shooting at these killer cans, the ones that have got all the dirty gubbins, all the smoke and cat coming out of them. So they're going to hit on, drop dice don't count, on 4s. There you go, the dirty gubbins counting there. 2 hits. They are strength 8, toughness less than 8, 2 wounds. They are AP minus a load, and they're both within 6 inches, so each one is d6, pick the highest. Dead can. Does the can explode? No. 2d6, pick the highest of the last can. 6. Boom. Both cans are dead, and they fade off into the distance. So the Farseer throws his Singing Spear at the Big Mech. Hits on a 2. Wounds on a 2. Save of a 4+. Saves. Okay, now we have 12 attacks on the doomed Big Mech from the 3 bikes. Alright, it's 9 hits. The Big Mech's toughness is strength 4, toughness 4, so wounding on 4s with a reroll because he's doomed. Okay, so that's 7 hits. Now, normally these 6s will be -3, but because he's got the best armour that teeth can buy, all his saves are invulnerable 4+. So he needs to make all but 1. And the Big Mech's fate is sealed. Big Mech dies. Ooh. Right. Now that's happened. The Wave Serpent will put the 2 lances down into the killer cans. Yeah, they're not happy. It's not a happy Wave Serpent. There's all sorts of crackling and psychic whizzing going on inside. Yeah, it's not a happy Wave Serpent. Okay, so now we have 5 Warp Spiders firing 2 shots each at the War Boss. Hitting on 3s. That's perfectly statistically average. 7 hits. Strength 6. Wounding on 3s. 6s are -4 AP. That's a lot. Okay, so these are saves of 4+. These are saves of 6s because it's a lucky blue git. Saves of 4. Fails 3. And the War Boss falls. And the Eldari have achieved their mission and assassinated these 2 significant orcs. The war that will build on this unknown planet will be directed at the Ruinous Powers. Eventually. Eventually. But Eldar live a long time. So, The aftermath. This is the bit that's often a bit more difficult as solo Hammer, because after you've played, you can have a nice chat with the person you played against and have a chat about it. That's not so easy when it's just one of you. When setting the game up, I did have to think, right, what's going to make, how to balance the scenario off and make sure it's doable. And I think, given the fact that there's a Wave Serpent on 1 wound, the Farseer had 1 wound left on it, a couple of bikes managed to get there, and 1 volley of shots managed to kill this guy. I think that's reasonably close. The Eldar have had taken casualties, not as many as they might have done. All right, they've lost about 10 guys, but they were darn close on other things. They'd some of the assets were seriously crippled, and I think it's got to the stage where what was important was, this thing managed to survive, which meant that not all the troops were dropped down there. The Farseer managed to live after his sneaky move and getting shot at. That bubble chucker, 6665. How he lived through that? That is, he read the fate. Because if he hadn't have been up there, hadn't have done the Mine War, hadn't have done the Doom, that would not have killed the Big Mech. So in the end, it turned out the refused flank, sweeping around, dealing with the Orc assets piecemeal, worked out. I'm sure I will ponder on it more, but I still think this could have gone either way. I still think this could absolutely have gone either way. And I think the luck was with the Eldar today. But I really enjoyed playing with my Death Skulls. I like the contrast of the blue on the table. My plan is to do a small force for all of the major Orc clans and mix and match as and when I like. As I said at the start, this wasn't a game this isn't a competitive game. This was very much a narrative game. If this was competitive, I wouldn't have been putting the characters in harm's way. I was just asking, what would Mork or possibly Gork do in this scenario? And as a result, the Eldar were able to claim their foes. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I enjoyed playing it. And take care, and I shall see you in the next one. Bye for now.